which will take you down to the ground floor and then outside. The nearest toilets are just on the right-hand side as you exit the theatre. Female, male and disabled toilets are all in the same place. Please note that the event is being recorded and that talented typists will be signing at the front as well. It's with great joy, honour and awe that I introduce Professor Ngũgĩ tonight for the Arthur Lewis Annual Lecture entitled Language and Normalised Abnormalities in the World Today. After my introduction to his lecture, he will be in conversation with Esther Stanford-Xosei, an esteemed community advocate who specialises in preventing, stopping genocide, ecocide and dispossession of land through reparatory and environmental justice. This series of Arthur Lewis lectures started in 2015 to mark the 100th anniversary of the birth of the economist Arthur Lewis, who became Britain's first black professor when he was appointed to a chair at Manchester in 1948. Arthur Lewis was a renowned economist known for his contributions to development economics. His influential work on the patterns of capital and wages in developing countries, particularly his concept of unlimited supplies of labour, has had a lasting impact on the field of developmental economics. He was solution born. He was awarded the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economics in 1979 for his contributions. And finally, I want to thank the Racial Justice Network for bringing Professor Ngũgĩ to the United Kingdom. We stand within a tradition here, both in this building and in his works and the work of Arthur Lewis. In Professor Thiongo's memoir, In the House of the Interpreter, he wrote that his ambition on entering a library for the first time in his life was to one day be able to read all the books in the world. And time had become clear that was impossible, but this voracious approach to culture would shape, consume, and direct his life. Dramatist, novelist, essayist, polemicist, memoirist, it's primarily through this rich and varied literary work that he has intervened, both politically and culturally. His awards and honours are too many to mention. Suffice to say, it's a testament to his global reputation that among his more than 40 accolades are awards from Kazakhstan, Korea, Ireland, Italy, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Ghana, to name just a few, as well as the US and Britain. Now, the Trinidadian-born activist, journalist, writer, and pioneer of the Notting Hill Carnival, Claudia Jones, once wrote, "A people's art is the genesis of their freedom." It can also, in a different context, be the source of their oppression, and indeed it is often both. Professor Ngũgĩ was imprisoned in 1977 by the Kenyan authorities following the publication of his novel Petals of Blood and his play Ngahika Ndinda. He spent almost a year in a maximum security prison without charge or sentence. And so it was, even as he was incarcerated, arguably in no small part precisely because he was incarcerated, that he sharpened and honed his significant literary talents to significant political and cultural effect. He once said, if you can control the psyche of a people, then in a sense, you don't even have to have a police force. And central for him in this process of freeing minds that might then free people was not just language in general, the written word and its power to engage, motivate and conjure, but language in particular. In 1986, with the colonialist authorities almost completely removed across the diaspora, he embarked on a still ongoing process of liberation that would denote a shift from the formal trappings of freedom, self-rule, flags and anthems, to a more thoroughgoing and fundamental understanding of how that freedom might be lived. Several decades before decolonization became a core plank of an anti-racist platform in education and beyond, he wrote Decolonizing the Mind, the Politics of Language and African Literature, in which he declared his intention to stop writing in English and instead to write in his native Kikuyu or Kiswahili instead. Now this shift, of course, had significant aesthetic value. But alongside and within that desire to transform and energize the literature, there was, of course, an explicit political intervention to reclaim and reassert the voice of the continent. A continent that had not lost its voice so much as had it taken, diminished, denigrated and denied until some feared it could not be heard. To start to reclaim it, as Professor Ngũgĩ has done, was to center experience within language and language within experience. To step without that truth, to step out of the shadow of history's legacy and speak your truth. Without that truth, having first to pay the toll of passing through the linguistic landscape of the powerful. To recast the understanding of who your audience is, what you might do to and for them, to decouple the power of culture from the culture of power so that we might reconfigure what we mean by relevance. He once said, if you know all the languages of the world and you don't know your mother tongue or the language of your culture, that is enslavement. But if you know your mother tongue or the language of your culture and add all the other languages of the world to it, that is empowering. Now, to communicate in your own language would, I think, seem to most like a logical desire. Such a logical desire that it would hardly be worth insisting on. And yet, in the same way that nobody asks, when did you come out as straight? Or should we address inequalities with a maximum wage? Or do you think yourself as a white writer or a writer that happens to be white? Only some people are subject to interrogation about their choices. Professor Ngũgĩ once said, if I meet an English person and he says I write in English, I don't ask him why you write in English. If I meet a French writer, I don't ask him why don't you write in Vietnamese. But I am asked over and over again, why do you write in Kikuyu? Herein lies the root of at least one abnormality. The victors in every battle do not just write history and then rewrite it continually until the vanquished have either disappeared or been demonized beyond all recognition, but they also frame the terms of reference for the present. So some identities will be subject to relentless examination while others coast by with eternal presumption. Professor Ngugi's enduring power lies not just in his prose, plays and poems, but in his polemic, advocacy, morality and persistence. His insistence in not submitting to what is possible, but instead his determination to create new possibilities. That is the source of his great inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Professor Ngũgĩ.
Normalized abnormalities, we're gonna sing all about it. Normalized abnormalities, we're gonna sing against this, yeah. Normalized abnormalities, won't you help me to sing about it? Normalized abnormalities, I wanna hear you sing against it.
Normalized abnormalities,
You're sounding good, sing it again.
normalized abnormalities,
You're gonna sing it again and again about.
normalized abnormalities,
We're gonna sing down there in Kenya.
normalized abnormalities,
We're gonna sing against it in Ghana.
normalized abnormalities,
We're gonna sing down in Jamaica. gonna sing against it in the Babylons.
Normalised abnormalities.
We're going to sing about it in Africa.
Normalised abnormalities.
Everybody, you sing about it.
Normalised abnormalities.
How you going with the fastest I like it.
Normalised abnormalities.
Oh, you're sounding so good, so good, so good, so now.
Normalised abnormalities.
They're gonna sing and then shout it now.
Normalised abnormalities.
We're gonna sing it again and again.
Normalised abnormalities.
We're gonna sing and then we'll talk about it.
Normalised abnormalities.
I present to you Ngũgĩ wa Thiong'o.
Normalised abnormalities.
We're gonna talk about it again and again.
Normalised abnormalities.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Normalised abnormalities.
We're gonna sing, we welcome you, Professor.
Normalised abnormalities.
Is it working? Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. That was amazing. He is giving the whole talk. You know, when I go to him places, so he always steals the show. Yeah. So instead of trying to match him, I'm going to tell you a story, right? Yeah, and just before I entered this particular hall, somebody came and we shook hands. I don't quite remember his name right now, and he was leaving, but yeah. I asked him, why did we, he told me, we met in Leeds. At first I thought it was the time I was still here, Leeds, or next door, of course, not here. I know it's Manchester. But next door, Leeds, and 65 to 68. It was no, more is a 20-something. And I never, yes, to the conference by African scholars of Africa, both African and American, European, Asia. Okay. They did have their needs. And not to Leeds for many years. You know, and because you know, I felt that, yeah, that was going to give a talk to these amazing people, scholars of Africa. So I thought of starting would be a normal question or I want to ask. How many of you are experts in African everything from scholar, from literature, to history? So I asked him, have you ever written a book in an African language? So I said, okay. Have you ever, everybody said no. Have you ever written a page in an African language? all scholars, and they are experts on Africa, each one, and some are African experts on Africa. So, in the end, what about a paragraph? Two people raise their hands, all right? Are you seeing what I think the absurdity or the abnormality in that situation? So they are all scholars of Africa, history, politics. And there are very many. That's what they are all. So, I wondered, if you are scholars of, say, France, would they say we are scholars of France, but we don't know French? Right? Or scholars of English history or English literature, whatever. But some, we don't write in English. Huh? We write English literature in Zulu, huh? Or Igbo, or Swahili. You can see the absurdity, the abnormality, immediately. Okay? Yeah. So I've been thinking about this. Abnormality. I know I have written books like The Colonial Mind, but as a normalized abnormality, it just was clear to me. I started thinking about that contradiction of having scholar of African everything, but we have never written a paragraph in any African language. Yeah, so, but recently, I kept thinking about it. When did all this start? This normalized abnormality of this way, as it in the both language. I said, wait a minute. We don't go to Africa. Let's go to Ireland. All right? For many years, the English tried to settle or conquer Ireland. And for many years, they couldn't make it up. Sorry. No, I will not stop. The Irish, the English had tried to conquer the Irish. Okay? And they could not. They tried this and that. Why is it that despite all our attempts to conquer the Irish, we have not managed? So then in 1969, or thereabouts, there's a guy, an English writer called Spencer. Spencer. He was a contemporary of Shakespeare. He's also an advisor to the then Queen Elizabeth. But he was one a settler in Ireland. In the book, A View of Ireland at the present time is really it's a kind of platonic kind of conversation with a land and a lord visiting him in London. There's a lord from London who is asking that question. Why is it? Yeah. It's Spencer comes with the answer to how to conquer the Irish. Simple. Get at their names They call themselves Mark or O, right? O Oliver or right? Yeah, they are O's and Marks, right? And language, okay, Irish, and you soon forget. That is what you soon forget who they are. Essentially, okay. Language as a conquest, in fact, continues. One of the settler next door neighbor of Spencer was a man, I don't remember his name, but the one who founded the first English colony in Virginia. Does anybody remember him? Yeah. You must remember him. You're from England. I think he's the one, yes, Walter Raleigh. Because he was undivided with women, you know, but they were also settler neighbors. Yeah. But I mention him only because African languages were banned in the plantations of the enslaved, all plantations. So, African people were linguistically disconnected from the continent, while all European settlers, whoever they were, remained linguistically connected to Europe. Yeah, so the same pattern continued. What else? Okay, right. You know, well, there was time when I was kids, well, they were humiliated, yes, humiliated for speaking, either costing Welsh in the Sioux compound. And they carried a little something, but a humiliation to carry something called what they say, Welsh not. Okay? I'm sure my friend from Kenya who are familiar with that one, or anybody, even probably your generation in Kenya, probably, yeah. But in our generation, that was common. So, language as part of conquest was not an accident, right? You know, even in all colonial societies, the language of the colonizer is imposed upon the colonized population. Right? And the language, mother tongues, become languages of humiliation. Right? In other words, they are doing an activity. You know what has happened? It's a consequence. You know, like one of the best known of writers. James Joyce. Right? He's taught in every English department I know even in Africa. Right? He knew Irish quite well. He wrote in Irish. He wrote in English, right? But apparently he knew Irish. And also, ironically, he knew the implications of that because in the early 20s, he wrote a paper, an article in Italian. He knew Italian, and he wrote in Italian. He knew many different languages, right? And he wrote an article, internet, which tells a story. It's called Ireland at the Bar, B-A-R. Ireland at the Bar. And he tells a movie story from, where an Irish man, old man, and two others are arrested and accused of the death of a woman. Now, they go to a court. The judge is an English speaker. The accused, were to defend themselves, so should be able to hear everything so they can defend themselves. They need the services of an interpreter. An interpreter, if an old man would talk, this and this and this and this, along studying himself in Irish because he must speak English. And the interpreter would say, he says, no, Your Honor. Everything what he says, no, Your Honor. Okay? Yeah. So when this was the James Joyce knew quite clearly the absurdity or the abnormality of that situation. Because he wrote about it, but in Italian newspaper, not in Irish. And he continued writing. Yeah. So today, in Irish literature is that literature which is written in English. And that's what we call Irish literature. And even the Irish call that their literature. Except, of course, there are a few like to read an article, which you can Google it. It's by Ngugi, because why I write in Irish. It was some other words in the title. Yeah. And they are described very well. This abnormality in the context of Ireland. She has a rights in Irish now. And she has a question, what should we call ourselves? We Irish writers, who are in Irish. What should we call our literature? The name has been taken. Right? Yeah. Again, the African scholars here or anybody from Africa will recognize that in our situation. What we call African literature today, talking in parts of the world, is literature written in either French or English or Portuguese. We teach it in Africa. I wrote in English myself. My first 3 books. Yes, I did. I thought I was going to say, saying, you too? Yes, me too. Yeah. It's what we call it. My first novel, The River Between, and We Cannot Child. No, my first 4 novels were written in English. Later I will change, and I'll come to that story later. Yeah, now I had to make it go. And fortunately, and translated into many languages, even though I really could. I would also bring your attention to a story among, if you Google, the most translated texts in history. Among them, the Bible was tops the list. But the 10th or 11th is a story I wrote in Ngũgĩ. One, but in English, it looked like a Ngũgĩ. But in English, the upright revelation. It's No. So it doesn't mean, you can see, it doesn't mean, at least, that the very national language, it can also be translated into Russian. Just in the same way I have read Russian literature in English translation, or French literature in English translation. Again, we accept the abnormality as the norm. So that African literature has lost its identity. And now it's not other people, but it's we now. We are very proud of our African literature. Prizes, it's true, are given. Prizes are given to promote African funding. That on condition or implied condition, you can submit it in an African language. Right? You ask an African, you have this funding for writing stories or fiction in your competition but they can only do so in English. Again, just the other way around. But English literature is only that it is written in Zulu or in French. Huh? Okay. I'm writing an English novel in English, in French, right? Or the other way around. It's the abnormality. That abnormality cannot be normalized. Because of norm. So like today in African universities, what we call African literature is not any literature written in any African language except Swahili. That's literature written in colonial languages or colonized languages like French, English, and Portuguese. Right? But it's normalized abnormality. So clear in languages. If you think about it, nothing actually, there are many normalized abnormalities in the world. In this one nation, one or two others. As an example, we talk of American independence, correct? There's a country or a nation called America, free, independent. There's another nation called Canada, free, independent. There's New Zealand, Australia. Now, what I understand from reading from all to experience, I talk myself like colon, this Kenya. What I understand, colonialism is colonizer and colonized. There's no colonizer without colonizer, there's no colonizer without colonized. Who are the people who colonized America? Okay? And I'm talking about America as a whole. Europeans, of course, British in this case, right? They colonized, the native owners of the land, what was colonized. But who got their independence? And the colonizer. And today they celebrate, and we celebrate with them, and sometimes July 4th, that's American independence. Some even call it American Revolution, right? Except one person. I mentioned Frederick Douglass, African American. And sometimes I say, he wrote this talk, which you can get actually. You Google it. July, you talk about July 4th, what it means, what does it mean to him as an African American? What does it mean to him as a Native American? When he says July 4th, for the Native American, it is not his loss was independence. Okay? But that all the African American. Right? But as we normalize, now America is one of the most powerful regions in the world in the USA. Yeah. And the same is true of Canada. The same is true of Maori and New Zealand. Right? The same is true of Australia. All these truly speaking are colonial nations. Yeah. Because the people they colonized are still never went and went decolonization. Right? It's like you conquering England today, and then you conquer England, become independent. and they, so this normalizing, normality. Now, I'm going to go an example. Philippines. Okay? Philippines was colonized by or conquered what they call the island of Philippines by Philips of Spain. Right? Now, the whole identity of the is by Philippines, like you're saying, we're the slaves of Philips. Right? Or we're the children of Philips. Right? Okay, and you know what? It's not far-fetched because in America, plantations, African names were banned. Yet, get the name of the plantation owner. So you said brown, I'm brown. Everyone knows you are correct in the plantation of the brown. Right? So Philippines, now we even try to call their language Filipino or whatever. Right? That, no matter how you look at it, that normalized abnormality. Right? You call yourself by the name of the one who colonized you. And become your language or whatever. Right? But we can find these instances in many other places. But I'll come back to the question of language. Language, all over the colonial world. There's a normalization of outside the school level. Okay. English was the language of glory. After languages were language of glory. Huh? Glory, right? Glory. Right? How do I know that? Because like the humiliation of those kids, if an African kid was found talking another language in the school compound, not even in the classroom. He was punished. Something to the extent of blood. What do you call it now? Which were given, they were also giving that one like the Welsh norm. The one who the children meant to pass it on to them. One who was taught speaking African language. And the one who inherited that would be punished. So the physical punishment. You are humiliating a child for their mother tongue, right? You humiliate, you degrade what it is to children. It's criminal, right? Because of negativity, we use them, we internalize, normalized. Because English is a glorious value of achievement of so in our case to be really this normalized abnormality. In case to live with an independent forces things. Some of the most expensive private schools in Kenya run by Africans for African children. Those schools. So that's it. Okay, those were British curriculum. I don't know what that British curriculum is, but there's something outside about this, surely. Something abnormal about this. That Africa will invest in promoting a British curriculum in Kenya today. Okay? African children sometimes talk. Grandparents are proud and say that their children do not know their mother tongue. Right? There's no achievement. It's when you achieve. The measure of the achievement of your children is when they cannot talk their mother tongue. I'll tell a story I normally tell. I went to visit, I was visiting some friends in Nakuru, Kenya, from Kenya. And the mother, the children were playing outside. But she really wanted them to come and say hi to us. But we were playing outside. So she called them, and they come in. And she speaks them in the code. Of course, they can't answer the other language. But precisely what the mother wanted. The children must speak their mother tongue. Right? And he said, oh, West Side. You can't do this unless you speak it well. Oh, these children are human beings. You don't know our language. But saying it in pride, not in sadness really. They just want to demonstrate to us that their children can speak. How do you call that? Surely, that's normality. Why? Because you can learn in code or an African language, add to it any African language, add to it English, add to it French, Russian, or whatever. That's normal. You have the power to, okay? You don't like to quote that passage from my book, when I say, you don't know all the languages in the world. You know your mother tongue. That's mental slavery. But you know your mother tongue, even if spoken by other people, and you have all the languages of what it is. It's empowerment. The abnormality that we choose that mental slavery over empowerment. And we're proud of it. Okay. Our governments, our ministers, even when they're celebrating National Days in Kenya, for example, they cannot speak Swahili, although they know Swahili very well. Right? Anyway, I was kind of, I don't know how to end this talk, but I can go on and on. Yeah. But the point that we make is normal abnormalities are all regular today. Yeah. concern, but they become normalized. So we never think about them anymore. Right? We take them as normal. Yeah. And so we celebrate that abnormality. Anyway, you have any questions? You can ask them. Or you can disagree with me, please. You know? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. It was really, really an honor to listen to you and for you to, in a very everyday way, convey the impact of colonization and continued coloniality. So I'm going to just have a little conversation with Professor first, and then we will open up for some questions afterwards. So perhaps if you've got thoughts, make a note of that, we'll be over to you shortly. But I just wanted to draw out some more points from what you've said. And we're here in a university, and you began your talk talking about the normalised abnormalities of scholarship on Africa and her people, and how most of that scholarship is being produced in European languages, especially the English language. What do you feel that means for the movement to decolonize what I would call establishment academic spaces such as universities? Because there's been, a worldwide movement of students, young people, communities around decolonizing curriculums and these institutions. But can these institutions be effectively decolonized when the wider colonization of society remains?
By the way, I've always said in one of my speeches I've talked about Europeans being colonized. It's an African thing. Remember, colonialism is colonizer, colonized. Therefore, without colonization, even the colonizer need to decolonize. Because without understanding that, is what produced by the network for social justice has said. Look, even Israelis, all this is continue. Okay? So Europe also genuinely decolonized. Differently from Africa, they colonized almost there.
Yes, and you very, I think, appropriately and helpfully explained the position, say, of Irish people, using the experience of Irish colonization, even within the borders here. The process of decolonization of, say, African people, Asian people, European peoples, should it be happening separately? Or should there be interconnections between these struggles against colonization?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm actually still going on in a minute. There's an article I refer to, written by Noah, so that people can inform why I and she talked about similarly I'm talking about. You must have a big question. What shall we call ourselves? Then we will recognize. Because the identity of Irish is already taken. Right? Yes, the identity of Irish has been taken. Right? But the first people who underwent is we are, I think South Africa, it has to be we who do it. But color and the first thing is to stop criminalizing our language. do not understand. Okay, put another way. What does he call the one who did experiment with dogs? Telling you, love. Pavlov, yeah. In Pavlov. Okay? You give a dog or some food and you ring a bell and so later you don't get food to ring the bell and it still come salivate. Right? Right? That's how you. So it's the same way that mother who called me so I can know that their children do not speak their mother tongue. It's salivating, right? Yeah, it's something we can do ourselves, first and foremost. We can do nothing, we can change. We can, in nature we can change, in Adam we can change. But then we can ask the rest of what you call it. Right? But then let's be with ourselves, who, if intellectuals of a continent, as in East Africa, intellectuals of the continent, some of them very bright intellectuals. We're talking bright intellectuals, bright as of Africa. But they participate. Our government, they're independent, but look at their educational policies. They criminalize our languages. They spend more money, other money, taxpayer money, competing with the government in promoting English. You know, it's like a penny, or maybe it's so it's a massive thing, right? So we need who feel this effect are not abstract. It's real. Yeah, we do it ourselves. And people say simple things like people recognizing their identity. Okay. I don't want to talk about that. I'll talk about it a little bit. Real estate. You go to Kenya or any other country. Nothing else has both an African name and an English name. Sometimes, okay, let me tell you a story. My daughter Wanjiko, Ngũgĩ. So she was married to a Finnish man. And her kid, she used to her kid in Ikulu. Right? And her name is Ngũgĩ. Ngũgĩ is her name. Right? She's a inventing a lady of yeah, she's an inventor. She's called up for detecting breast cancer. They work together. Her partner from Asian Paris and Ngũgĩ is from the and now select that her mom, the invention of the partner, top young inventors in America right now. So, my daughters, Wanjiko, because she grew up knowing that her name is Wanjiko. Okay? So, her name is Ngũgĩ. But when she told me, some friends of ours who are African, not even Finnish people, said, what's your name? What's your name? Oh, Wanjiko. Yes, said, but Wanjiko. But what about the other? The very good name, the other name. And they are surprised of that she's reflecting in her mother tongue, equal. Alright? So again, the same normalized abnormality in the naming system. And you remember that I told you about Spencer. It's in the book, A View of Heaven at the Present Time. is there. He says, get their name, oaths, marks, and you conquer them. In other words, they will soon forget who they are. Right? It's what you can't forget themselves. African names, well, as I said, American. Wow. Anyway, so when I get upset, you become emotional.
Yeah, it is. And all the examples that you've provided of how abnormalities have become normalised, what do you see as the importance of speaking and knowing and creating in one's mother tongue for a people's empowerment, self-empowerment?
Knowledge, and not misapplied knowledge. Knowledge begins here to there and then here. Now, knowledge, you walk from your house, you start from where you are. You don't take a flight to your neighbor, or you don't walk to your neighbor's house and start your journey. Right? You start where you are, right? Yeah. We don't start where we are. Now we start from you really here. But I mean, because somebody said now, knowledge is always from here to there to here, in a dialectical progression of mutual illumination. You start with yourself, or that prevents you from learning other language. What is it that makes you think that there's something good about not doing my language? When you going for say, I'm a stupid professor of English and comparative literature, until you see I'm about bragging. We have 13 other doctors from personal reading. I like it. That's good. But so do how you call it, and then add English to it. For me, it's empowerment. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with English. It's a good language. Like any other, like Zulu or Igbo, as well, right? Yeah. So, or in the case of African American, like the example, they have a language which sometimes called the bornings of Black English. Okay. And he had German students in America. But it's another linguistic system, its own grammar, everything, right? It's not a lower form of English. It's a different also know that's the language of power. The language of power, right? But don't think of it as a lower man on the ladder to an English heaven. Right. Yeah.
The importance of creation and co-creation of knowledges. So thinking about how we repair this damage, the work that I do is very much about, yes, we must identify what is wrong, and you spoke very eloquently about that, but then how do we reconstruct, how do we restore, how do we rebuild, especially when many of us have been so, our memory process has been impacted. And what about those of us that don't, because of ethnocide, because of genocide, because of the epistemicide that has happened because of colonization? How can we restore and repair what has been broken?
Positive seen America or the Caribbean. First of recognize that the languages, the Caribbean resistance. Okay? The language of resistance, because they were not allowed, I mean, people were killed for goodness sake. But it was enough language in the plantation of the enslaved. Right? So the language they created, our language of resistance. And when I think of them, as I said, as a lower rank on the land of the English Avenue, right? Surely, you know, on the American branch of the slave or enslaved, after America were criminalized, right? So the African American is something for me incredible. The colonial resistance. Even someone said you don't use the language, but the rhythms of those languages are still with you, right? So the language was also affect the rhythm of the language with English sounds, right? And I want to ask that language or language system produce spirituals. Okay? Spirituals. And they've sing songs like, oh, freedom, oh, love me. And before I be a slave, I will buy my grave and go home and be free. Yeah, that was the spirit of the Lord. Yes, it's a beautiful phenomenon. According to the language system, the rules according to the language system. Nor but the Lord. Right? If someone can open the world, which are the language about the imperial ones, the capital products have come grow. Right? So we started that, the American, you can add another continent, but that's the beginning. Connect with that. And if you connect with that one, it doesn't mean that you don't own power. Yeah? Because whatever they are not languages of power, or universities, or whatever, but you start with that. Yeah? And accept is all that. But the nice language, Africa, Africans say, start. It's not a mystery. Please start with accepting your names. Right? You know, don't brand yourself. I'm not sorry, but the absurdity is something Christian. In Zambia, I found some Baptists with such Christian names as Crackshaft, always Crackshaft. There's another one my friends in the late Ngũgĩ, who ran from Kenya for persecution. That doesn't give me to come next time. I want to visit him. He started a little movement in Zimbabwe in celebration of our inspired by our own movement, would maybe he may be taken to prison. You know, he gave me a party, right? And I go there, there's a lady and I said, Ngũgĩ. For she told me, forgive me. And I was like, why she hasn't forgive us for me that my name. Then I went to, I was puzzled by this. That lady, what's her name? Forgive me. So I get it to you. So every day, then I go, the other one I go to go out with my friend said, no, it's her name. Right? Well, You can see there's a normality there. Yes.
Absolutely, the abnormalities. I have two more questions for you. You spoke about your experience in Kenya, you know, and the persecution that you suffered by the Kenyan government for championing indigenous knowledge systems, speaking, writing in our own indigenous languages. Process in Kenya, supposedly around reparations. I know you're familiar with that case, but I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. And I particularly want to mention the passing of Field Marshal Mutoni Wakarima in September. And before she passed, she cut off her locks that she'd been growing for 60 years because it was deemed to be the case that, you know, liberation has now come. Right. So what, as somebody who is born and bred in that society, is there freedom, Uhuru, yet in Kenya, or is that still something to be achieved?
The first Vice President of Kenya, Ngũgĩ, wrote a book. And Jomo Kenyatta, who was then president, would never forgive him. You know. Yes, but someone had a question.
Freedom. What will Uhuru look like in Kenya, in your opinion?
Oh my God. Let me put it this way. Africa, since the 16th century, has been giving aid to the West. But the African body itself was a commodity of the hand. The Queen Elizabeth I here invested in slavery. Many kings and barons here invested in slavery. And the vote. What is it? Amazing grace. Let's say trader. And he died there, although he repented, became an abolitionist. He never divested in slavery. Okay? Or in slavery. Yeah. So,
Absolutely. So the last question I wanted to ask before we open up, and it's really thinking a lot about your own legacy. And what is your message to future aspiring revolutionaries who are involved in trying to change the world today? What is your message to them to keep inspiring them?
yeah. From here, but knowledge starts where you are. Let me give an example quite quickly. You have our bodies, okay? You realize where you do it. Our bodies are mirrors of all technologies in the world. Okay? This same present technology of movement. We can already move with our legs, correct? Technology adds power and other possibilities for our legs, correct? But we can walk, we can move. We already have it, our body, our hands. You know, picking up things. You've seen machines which work on the roads, picking up, but trying to even have fingers. Yeah, okay. So, look at all technologies in the world today. Technology from sight, hearing, and other things. Those technologies are already carried in human body. We have those people even of sight, telescopes. We can see the technology help us see further, but we already have that. So the human body is very important. And when anybody, we got your body, is playing the mirror role.
Okay, wonderful. All right, thank you. And now we'd like to open up for questions. Any comments from any of you in the audience? This is a really historic opportunity, a legend in our midst. So yes, I can see a hand raised right at the back there. Do we? Yes.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Hi, I'm Mwada of Sudan. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm just going to shout. I want to talk about, I have a question about language. And like in some indigenous communities, like in Australia, there is no word for kind or hello, which kind of impacts the psyche. So I think about language and being as a psychiatrist. So my question is, what do you think? Do you think there power in when you're looking at the psyche and the memory of the African languages and how we survive by telling our stories? Do you see that there's a power back from your experience writing? Do you feel like there's a power in the psyche, in the mind?
Yeah, you see, all mother tongues, even English as a mother tongue, is a starting point in the concept of work. Okay? You know, when a child begins to grow around, he sees things, their ears, their mother's teeth, or whatever, they go adding that knowledge to themselves. Okay? What does it to the psyche of a child when he is persecuted? Their mind is persecuted for speaking his mother tongue.